Hello, welcome to this step-by-step tutorial on how to use the Crossword Starter Pack. A few things you should keep in mind before you start with this project. This project is based on Unity 5.1.1, which means that the project actually could run fine on 5.0 or whatever, but at least you should have Unity 5.x. A second thing you should keep in mind that this project is heavily using the new UI system which was presented with Unity 4.6 or Unity 5, which is just canvases and rect transforms and so on and so forth. Another thing to keep in mind that this project was mainly made for Android platforms, but actually it's fine to run this for iOS because all the touch interface is already presented in the code, and also it runs fine in the editor, which means that you could have this project built for Windows, Mac, and Linux. And of course, this project is totally for free. This is both a testing project for some other purposes, but it's not completed, and this is why I decided to put this project for free. The project have two main scenes that you can see in the build settings, the library and the in-game, and both scenes could be found here in scenes. The library is the library scenes where you have your puzzles, and actually puzzles here is dynamically instantiated, and everything came here from the library manager. And library manager has its own script called the puzzle library, and we will discuss this in a moment. And second scene is called in-game, and the in-game scene contains a keyboard for inputs, and actually it's working with touch and mouse, and the clue area, and the puzzles itself. Here you can find all the crosswords, and here are some other options among with debug button. One more thing to keep in mind, that to be able to run the project or the game safely, you have to start always from the library, and as it makes sense that you could not be able to go to the in-game without selecting a puzzle to solve. But if you went to the in-game and you tried to play, you probably will have some errors because there is no puzzles being selected, and makes sense. But if you start here from the library and you hit play, you can have puzzles here, and you can select any of those puzzles, and then it's loaded here, and then you can start at the input. And actually, to keep in mind that you have here the debug menu, and it's actually quite helpful that you could show all the words and close the debug menu. You have all the words, you can hide all the words, and so on and so forth. You can keep checking here. Also, there's some information related to the device and platform and those things, and frame rate, which is quite helpful on Android devices. If we come back again to the in-game itself, if we come back again to the library, so the library is actually just several things. So you have here the most important part is the library manager, and library manager controls what would be displayed here in the library. And to be able to select, so the main things, you have to set the number of elements to display in the library, and there's different types of elements actually. So the first type here, it's called the normal puzzles list, which is just an XML file like this file. If we try to open this file here, as you can see at the layout here, from this white line to this white line, it means this is a whole puzzle. All these white words is the solutions for the puzzles, and here is the name of the puzzle, and here is the black or the solid squares represented by this one, and this is the size of the puzzle itself. As you can see, if you count here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there is 12 puzzles within this file. As you can see, it's called sampler. And if you play here and you enter this sampler, you'll find that it has 12 puzzles. For example, the first puzzle called penny press, it's easy, penny press easy, penny press easy, it's a medium. Third one was medium. So if you open here, So So if you open here, the first one was called Penny Press Easy, and second one had the oh sorry, and second one also Penny Press Easy, and the third one was Medium. As you can see, this is what actually being loaded here. As you can see, this is the names of the files, for example. So if you want to make new puzzles, you need to build XML files looks like this ones. The second type of puzzles, it's called stack puzzle. And a stack puzzle is just a bunch of different puzzles. So it means that here, this is the normal puzzle. When you open one file, contains different puzzles. But the stack is just one stack contains different files which contain different puzzles, as you can see. And the last type, it's called Delu, and Delu is completely different because when you open a Delu puzzle, you'll have different puzzles here unlocked, and you have lots of other puzzles here. When you finish solving those puzzles, the locked puzzles will be unlocked. This is all about the library, and there is actually the XML reader and XML parser. It's already implemented inside this library manager, and the library is going to read the XML file and fetch and put everything. So if you, for example, hit play and you open one of the magazines, you'll find the magazine contains, as I mentioned, it contains 12 puzzles. You'll find all the 12 puzzles being listed here. And if you went back, this list would be deleted, and then when you open a new list, it will be listed here. Oh, this one has 30. So as you can see, it has 30 here. And the content of any stack or content of Deluge, you can put them here inside. So for example, as you can see, this is the second one in the library, which means it's this one. It's called collection one. And if you open this collection one, it should contain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 puzzles. And you open it contain, oh, sorry, it should contain 5 puzzles. Yeah, here. And if you open one of this, it will be contain what you have here in the current magazine. Everything is documented in code, and actually it's very clear and straightforward. So let's say I want to add a new one here in the list. Let's say I want to have 4 in this list, or let's say I want to have one more here in this library, in this stack. So my stack have 5 puzzles. So I can select here the library manager and go to the stack, which was second button, and I can say it have 6 actually. Oh, sorry, it have 6. And in those 6, let's keep the same, using the same file, but let's change one of the art assets, and let's put this blue image, and let's call it something different, like new 2, for example. Now, if I hit play and I went here to the collection, I'll have this new one. Second part, which is very important part of the project, with the in-game screen. The in-game screen contains different canvases, and this is actually because there is some fun stuff going around here. So if you hit play, for example, and while solving a puzzle, you try to display a hint. As you can see, there is like a light blur effect, which is quite common with iOS devices. But anyway, to achieve this thing, I have to put different canvases. So I have to get those buttons in one layer, I have to get the blur in another layer, and I have to get my puzzles in a different layer, and so on. If I came here, I have to put this one in a different canvas, and so on and so forth. So you have to keep in mind that there is lots of canvases here, but each canvas has its own job. So as you can see, everything is named. So this is the canvas which is dedicated for the background only. This canvas is dedicated for the blur, I believe. Let's check its camera. Yeah, this is for the zoom and pan. and which works in Android devices. The second canvas, which contains the whole thing, contains those buttons and contains keyboard. As you can see, it contains this header, which contains the whole thing, and it contains the input area, which you'll not be able to see now, and it contains the keyboard, and it contains the debug menu itself, which is hidden by default, and it contains the debug button here. And then we have the third canvas, canvas 3, which contains a blur, which is displayed when you enable the hint or whatever. And last but not least, we have the fourth canvas, and this canvas contains the hints when you click the hint button here, as you can see. There is also a log manager, which is quite useful for you if you want to keep tracking, keep seeing some log messages, so you can enable it. If you are making a build that is a release build, you can disable this and you have no log anymore. One important thing that when you move from this screen to that screen, you have no more errors because the reader came from the previous screen here, and this reader has XML parser which is contain the whole information for the current puzzle, all the puzzles loaded from one file. As you can see, this is all the puzzles. And to be able to understand what puzzle is loaded right now, you can find this directly here inside the grid. Canvas 1, which contains a grid, it has something called image grid. Image grid is the whole grid itself, and this is have something called grid manager. The grid manager is the most important part in the in-game screen because the grid manager contains all the information for the current loaded puzzle. So as you can see, for example, the size is 17, which contains 17 elements. What is those elements? Actually, because some puzzles could have the number of cells different. For example, this cells is 11 cell horizontally and 11 cell vertically. But what if you have just 5 cells? The size of the cells itself will be different, and this is why I have different things here. So as you can see, the loaded one here, it's called maybe cell 18. So the meaning is, if you came here and you put one of the cells, cell 8, it's very small for this. Okay, let's just stop this and let's try to put it here. So this is the size of this cell. But if you put this cell 15, let's put it here, somewhere in here, this is completely different cell size because this means you have 15 cells per row. And if you have 15 cells, so it means the cell size should be smaller. But this is cell 5, means that you have only 5 cells per row, which means cells should be bigger. So this is the cell size from the grid manager. Let's go back again to the level. Now let's open the grid manager. So this is the cell size, which you don't have to worry about this unless you have more than 17 cells per row. So you should add one more cell and add one more prefab and assign it here. The second part is a current puzzle, which is mean the loading puzzle. And as you can remember, we selected the puzzle number 1. It was the first puzzle in the list. It's a puzzle number 1, its difficulty, and all this information being loaded from the XML file here. So as you can see, this is the puzzle number 1, and it's easy, and this is the puzzle name, and this is the tag, and this is the puzzle size, which means cell size, and everything, even the puzzle solutions like PAG, PAM, everything came from the XML file. And since I selected cell grid, which means this prefab, which this means this prefab is going to fit the size here. This is the current puzzle cells. This is all the cells you have. If you multiply this amount by this amount, you'll have this number. And this is all the cells as game objects. As you can see, it's numbered well. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, so on till 113, and then 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 5, and so on. As you can see, you see here 11, but actually those are 13 because there is 2 block cells here which has no numbers. So this makes sense that we have selected the cell 13, which means we have 13 cells every row. Those colors, you can define those colors. This is a primary color, as you can see. This is a secondary color, which is the color of the rest of the selected word or whatever. Here you have 2 buttons. This button will switch the clue for the current selected puzzle. And this button will switch the puzzle itself vertically or horizontally, which means now we're solving 13, or now we are solving number 5. Selected word cells is defining the current selected word. Here you can see only 3 cells because the selected word has 3 cells. But what if we selected a different word like this word which have 4 cells? As you can see, we have 4 cells now. This is the cells number which is used by the code to define some stuff and reflect what you see here to be seen there. For example, if I input here R, I see R here as well. The font colors is a pen and pencil color because you have toggle here. You can toggle between pen and pencil. And pen and pencil is completely different because when you select a cell and you can switch, you can see different colors. For now it has the same color, so you don't have to worry about this. It's an extra feature which I might update later. The error color is red because if you display errors here, you can see any problem in red. For example, I know that here should be A. As you can see, the A is fine. And if I switch here, pen and pencil, if I display the error again, I can see everything. If I enable the error, I see the problems in red. Let's disable it, and let's try to change this to something like green. Let's now display errors. I see errors in green. The rest of other arrays and lists here are dedicated to the display. So the hint pop-up menu group means what you are going to see when you press the hint. So it means that those things should appear. And so on for the options menu, it means that when you hit options menu, what you are going to display. Compilation group means what you're going to see when you complete the puzzle. So basically now, if you complete the puzzle, it will be flashing and you are going to see a screen says completed, which is basically this one. But it could not be displayed right now because it needs its own camera to run. If you want to see this, you can come here to the debug and you can clear cells, fill all words, and you see this is your puzzle is completed now. One very important thing that the game saves state for everything. So if you came here, it tells you that you already filled all those. So all the orange means you already filled. So for example, if we select this one and let's come here before here in the middle and let's put some letters. Let's put some letters here. So those cells are filled right now. Now if we go back and we select this puzzle again, you'll see those cells are already filled. The last part of the grid manager is the selection history, and this is quite useful because there is buttons here for going forward and back. So if I selected a word and then I hit another word, I hit back, it goes to the previous word again. So this is why you have a selection history here. And this is actually all the important parts of the project. The project is just about these 2 scenes. If you have any new puzzles or you want to add any new puzzles, you should add those puzzles to the resources as XML files. And those XML files should be applied here to the library itself. In the library manager, as you can see, those XML files. Feel free to keep expanding the puzzle library. It's quite interesting, and the code itself is quite interesting to learn about. But anyway, the most important parts of the code could be found here. The grid manager is the most important part for the gameplay itself. And for the puzzle screen itself, or for the library screen itself, the most important part is in library here. It's called puzzle library. Feel free to check this code, change this code, but anyway, it's barely that you would like to change something in the code, because for you could just download this crossword starter pack and you can just keep adding stuff to the library here. Let's say your library should have 10 things. You can add 10 things here, and you can adjust those 10 things to fit your need. And now when you hit play, you don't have to change anything. Regarding the in-game screen, it's full functional. It have lots and lots and lots beyond what you could imagine, and you would not like to change anything in here. But in case you wanted to change anything in this screen, I would say you'll be in the grid manager. This is the most important part, and this is handle everything in this screen. For the project settings itself, regarding the Android build, as you can see, the project itself is compatible with the lowest API supported by Unity, which is API level 9, which means that the project have nothing fancy and could be run in any other platform. I tried with a web player and it was running fine. I never tried PC, Mac, Linux, but as long as it was running with web player, as long as it was running with the editor, I'm sure it will be running fine with Windows, Mac, and Linux. Feel free to try it with different platforms. Feel free to try to use BlackBerry, iOS, but I tested only in Android and web player. If you have any problems, feel free to send me emails. Feel free to submit questions on the store page. Thank you. Bye.